Hi there, Miranda Alt here with Keller Williams Success Real Estate and the Miranda Alt team with your Monday market update for Monday, October 21st, 2024. Thanks so much for watching. Taking a quick look at our McHenry County numbers for the last 7 days, we had 151 new listings. We had 137 go under contract, 80 closed sales, 97 price changes, 1 expired, and 37 on the private network. Let's dig into those numbers a little bit more because some of these can be a little misleading. And so today I went in and I really dug into those new listings because I put a lot of weight on those, and sometimes things are doubly counted for. And I know personally, if I do a price reduction, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll cancel the listing and I'll relist it as new if it's been on the market for a little bit, just to freshen it up. I'll change some pictures around. I'll change the description, try and make it look like a new listing to catch buyers' attention. Now, we did do a price improvement, so it is new in that price, but that's kind of one of the strategies that I use when I'm listing properties. And I thought, well, I'm probably not the only one doing that, so let's take a look. So what I did is I looked at the new listings. First of all, how many of them are already under contract? So of the 151 new listings, 29 are already under contract, half of which are under $300,000. So the lower priced homes are selling very rapidly because we've been talking about this. Affordability has been a big problem for Americans this year. Well, and for the last few years. 3 of the new listings are already closed. So they sold on the private network. So most of the population didn't even see them. They sold without even getting publicly listed. 44 of the 151 were canceled and relisted as new. 44, that's a lot. So our actual real new listings is only 75. So I know that I've talked to some people and they say, you know, what is going on with the housing market? Like it seems like there's more houses for sale, but there's not, and there's still low inventory and there's not a lot of people moving, and what's really going on? And why are interest rates going up? We had the feds cut the prime rate in September, so why are mortgage rates going up? Well, let's talk about all of those things. So first of all, lower priced homes are selling faster. Why? Because more people can afford them, and because there's more people that can afford them and there's less of them. So the inventory is tighter under 300,000. Okay, so remember we measure our inventory and how many months it takes to sell out of whatever is currently listed if nothing else hits the market. A fair and balanced market is between 4 and 6 months inventory. Anything under 4 months inventory is a seller's market. Anything over 6 months inventory is a buyer's market. We have 1.5 months inventory across McHenry County, just as a general rule. In certain towns, it's a little tighter or looser depending on their population a lot and how many new builds are happening. In 𝐦𝐚𝐫𝐤𝐞𝐭, there's actually more inventory than there was last year, but it's still low. So regardless, it's about 1.5 months inventory. Okay. Now, if I were to break that down by price, I think we would see a big discrepancy. One of the things that I notice when I'm looking at these numbers is that if your home is a lower price point, I would say under 400,000, it's move-in ready, and it is priced appropriately for how big it is and all those things, it's going to sell in a heartbeat. That's just going to sell. Anything over 500,000, there's less people that can afford it in our county. And it's probably going to sit on the market a little bit longer because there's more of those available for the number of people that can afford them. So I think our inventory is tighter under 300,000. Over 500,000, I think we probably have a surplus of inventory. It's hard to kind of take all these numbers and figure out exactly what's going on. And every year is a little different. This year, we're seeing more seasonality with October too. So I'm going to stick with the numbers for just 1 second. So if we really only have 75 new listings, once you take out those that are already under contract and those that are already closed or that were just canceled and newly listed, we really only have 75 new listings. We had 137 under contract. Now, some of those were those ones that were canceled and relisted because once they were relisted at a new price, they went under contract. So, and of the 44 that were canceled and relisted, most of those were over 500,000. So I think we have way more inventory over 500,000 than we really can get through all of these numbers that we can crunch and everything without really looking at them each listing one by one. We're not going to get a clear picture on those. And I think that this is probably as close as we're going to get. So that's one thing. So if your home is sitting on the market and it's a little bit over, and it's over the average sales price of $400,000, well, there you go. That's why it's too expensive for a lot of people, and there's not a lot of people that can afford it, and it's going to take longer to sell. The other piece of this is that we're in October. Now, for the last 2 years, in both 2022 and 2023, the first 3 weeks of October were very rough from a mortgage rate perspective. Rates went up the first 3 weeks of October. Part of that is I was watching my mortgage-backed securities highway update this morning, and they were talking about that historically for the last 2 years, we've seen this happen. It's just October, I don't know. This particular year, the reason is because the mortgage rates do not directly correspond with the federal rate or the prime rate. And so when the prime rate was cut in September, the mortgage rates had already gone down ahead of that in speculation of the feds lowering the prime rate. Then the 3 weeks following that, what happened was that the 10-year yield went down, which means that the rates went up. So we're seeing that happen right now. That's why it went down. But what's weird is that in 2022 and 2023, the first 3 weeks of October were really rough with the 10-year yield. Interest rates went up and then they came down later. So we're hoping that interest rates and anticipating that interest rates, mortgage rates specifically, will go down in November, and then we will see more buyers enter the market, because quite honestly, whether it's a seller's market or a buyer's market, we need both buyers and sellers in order for this thing to move. And right now we've got buyers pulling out a little bit with interest rates going up. Now remember, in 2023, the first part of October saw interest rates hit their 18-month high. Actually, no, I believe it was it was a 2-decade high. So they were at 7.75% in October, which means the rate that you were actually going to get as a buyer was like 8. So that was the highest that they had been in many, many years. And that really shocked our buyer's market. Then we saw them tick down a little bit, and then over 2024, they have come down. Now they're about 6.5, but they were lower in September. They were at about 6.25, which was great. But we do anticipate that as the interest rates start to come down, we will see more and more buyers enter the market and sellers. Here's basically why. What we've talked about before is that people move because of life events. We call them the 3 Ds: death, diapers, and divorce. Those things continue to happen regardless of what interest rates are doing. And so we have to assume that those things have continued to happen over the last couple of years, even as we've sold less and less homes nationwide. The new estimated number of how many homes we're going to sell nationwide for 2024 is 3.8 million homes. That is incredibly low. We sold 4.1 million homes last year, and that was the same number that we sold in the slowest year of the recession, 2008. So we are in, unimaginable low number of transactions for 2024. So it's rough for you realtors out there. It's really rough. We anticipate that 2025 will be so much better, because even though we sold so few homes in 2024, those life events keep happening. So there's got to be people out there who are in pain, and I talked about the pain point before, who are either wanting to get divorced but aren't because they can't afford to sell the home, and neither person can afford to buy the other one out. They've had more kids that they can't fit in their home, but their interest rate is so low they can't afford to move. Or they've had somebody die. Now those people probably still sell. Or maybe it's somebody whose spouse died and they want to sell their home and move into something smaller, but their monthly payment would actually be more in a new house. That's a real thing, because if you're locked in at a 2.5% interest rate, your monthly payment might only be $1,800. Well, if you go get another home at the higher rate, your payment could be a lot more. So obviously it doesn't make sense to sell. So we've got people that are in this sort of pain point position where they're waiting for interest rates to get to a point where it makes sense to move. And I think we're headed there. But we're just right now in October, with rates going up, we're probably seeing a little bit of a return of the seasonality of our business, which we haven't seen in many, many years. We haven't seen real seasonal market since probably 2019, before the pandemic. So we're seeing a little bit of October is the reason these numbers are so low is because we're seeing the return of seasonality a little bit because the interest rates have gone up. Everybody thought they were going to come down. So that's kind of what's happening right now. But our market is slow. I had 3 new listings that went live last week. They all are not under contract yet, which is really strange. They're all priced appropriately. I think we've just got buyers that are kind of waiting to see if interest rates come down the next couple of weeks. So hopefully we're going to see that happen. It's impossible to predict this market. It's impossible to time the market. If it's time to move, it's time to move. And it's just almost impossible to make it the exact right time. If you do time the market perfectly, it was probably more luck than it was strategy. So that's kind of what's going on in our housing market right now. It is slow for October. We've had a very slow year overall. If you're looking to buy or sell, we do anticipate 2025 is going to be a much, much better year. We could sell upward of 5 million homes, which would be outstanding. Probably more like 4.5 million homes, but that's still going to be a lot more than we sold this year. So I think we've got a lot of good things to come. We just got to kind of hold tight and wait and see what happens in the next few weeks. The feds will meet again, actually, November 7th, November 6th. So the day after the election, the feds will meet again. They will likely do a 25 point basis cut, which, of course, our mortgage rates could go down ahead of that in anticipation of that happening, but that should bring our mortgage rates down as well. So I'm Miranda Alt with Keller Williams Success Real Estate and the Miranda Alt team. Thank you so much for watching. As always, if you have any questions or some of this didn't make sense, I know it's very confusing, give me a call. I'd love to chat with you about it. I'm at 815-529-0777, or you can always email me at mirandaaltteam@gmail.com. Have a great rest of your Monday. Bye-bye.